Hi there, everyone. Glad you could join us again for another reading of the Action Bible. So we're back in the green room today, really just my house, but we're going to kind of recap a little bit and then go through quite a lot today. So let's just get started. So after Adam and Eve and Noah was Abraham. You guys remember Abraham, right? So Abraham was called by God, and he had his nephew Lot with him, and they had to separate. And Abraham was given a vision by God that he would have descendants more numerous than the stars. That means that there would be a lot of people that were related to Abraham. So he has a son named Isaac. He goes with his father on a trip that was a test from God for Abraham's faith, and it showed Isaac a lot too. So Isaac grows up, and Rebecca and Isaac get married, and that's where we left off last time. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Isaac, and we're going to pick up a little bit later in his life. So Isaac starts to grow older. Him and Rebecca are trying to have a family, and they do. Rebecca ends up having twins, and Jacob is the younger of the twins. Jacob trades the birthright of the firstborn with his brother over a bowl of stew. And his brother didn't think it was that big of a deal at the time. But Jacob has a long time to wait. His father is still strong and powerful, and as Isaac grows older, it becomes clear that his brother is his favorite son. Jacob realizes that tricking his brother into giving him the birthright is not enough. Isaac kind of starts a little bit of a rivalry between the brothers because he has a favorite of the two, and they know that. Everyone kind of knows that. And so Jacob thinks that he needs to have that birthright also from his dad, the blessing from his dad for the firstborn. That means he would get everything that the firstborn son would get. And so Isaac is growing older. He asks for his oldest son to come so that he can bless him. And his wife Rebecca hears about it. Along with Jacob, they devise a scheme to trick Isaac into blessing Jacob. And so he goes in and wears some furry clothes to make his skin feel rough and tough like his brother's. And he gives his father a dish that his brother often made for him. And so his dad Isaac can't really see very well anymore. And so he touches him and looks him over as well as he can and drinks the soup. And then he blesses Jacob. Now Jacob runs back to his mother, and he's excited that everything happened. But his brother comes back and doesn't know what was going on. So he makes the same dish for his dad, Isaac, and Isaac, he says that I've already done this, I've already had this, and I've already given out the blessing. And so Jacob's older brother is pretty upset about that. He vows to kill his younger brother. And so Rebecca tells her son Jacob to go far away to a land of her ancestors. Jacob does go. He falls asleep in the desert, and he's given a vision of a stairway. That night, he dreams of a shining stairway reaching up to heaven. On the stairway, angels go up and down as if bringing help from God, and Jacob hears God speak to him, promising to take care of him and bring him safely home again. So the next day, Jacob wakes up and he's awed by the dream. And he says, surely God is in this place. And so he worships God right there and calls that place Bethel. So he keeps going, and he sees some shepherds, and he asks them about this land. He goes to a well, and he sees a woman and falls in love. The girl's name is Rachel. So he goes to the woman's father and asks for her hand. He says that he can work for him for a certain amount of time. After that amount of time, he'll give him his daughter. So Jacob fulfills that part of the deal and is given a wife. But he finds out that the father gave him his firstborn daughter and not his secondborn daughter, which was the girl that he was in love with. And so he's kind of repaid back for the trickery that he did before. So Jacob works again for the father for another 7 years. After that 7 years, he gets Rachel as a wife. And they are married, and they leave this place to go back home. And that's where we're going to pick up in the life of Jacob on page 84. It's called Touched by an Angel, based on Genesis chapter 32 and 33. And so, let's just get into it and see what happens this time in the Action Bible. Eagerly, Jacob continues his journey home. On the way, he has a wonderful vision. An army of angels, the army of God, is camped beside me. The angels comfort Jacob, but as he gets closer to home, he begins to worry about his brother, who once planned to murder him. Right ahead of me and look for my brother. Tell him I am coming home with my family and flocks. Tell him I hope he will forgive me. Jacob waits anxiously for the riders to come back. He remembers the time he lied to his father and stole his brother's blessing. Finally, the scouts return.
We saw Esau. He's coming to meet you with 400 men.
Jacob is frightened, but he is also shrewd. He divides his caravan into 2 parts. Then he sends servants ahead with presents. If Esau attacks one group, the other can get away.
And when we meet Esau, we will give him your generous gifts of goats, camels, cows, and donkeys. He will be very impressed.
That night Jacob prays, confessing his sins, admitting his fear, and asking for God's help. But still he cannot sleep. My family would be safer on the other side of the river. So in the middle of the night, Jacob moves his family. You will be safer on the other side, Rachel.
I wish you would stay with us.
But Jacob needs to be alone. Later that night, as he prays, he feels himself wrestling with a mysterious stranger. The struggle is fierce, but Jacob does not give up until the stranger blesses him. Your name will not be Jacob any longer. Instead, you will be Israel. The next morning, Jacob is limping because he hurt his hip wrestling with the angel. But Jacob is happy because he knows God has blessed him. Jacob goes confidently to meet his brother Esau.
Jacob, my brother, I'm happy to see you again.
Esau, I'm so glad you don't hate me anymore. Proudly, Jacob presents his family well, the ones he loves most anyway. This is my wife Rachel and my son Joseph.
It's good to see my brother's family. God has really blessed you.
After feasting together, the brothers say goodbye.
Goodbye, Jacob, and greet my father for me.
I will tell him you are doing well. Goodbye, and God bless you, Esau. Sometime later on the way, Jacob stops at Bethel. Rachel, this stone marks the place where I saw angels coming to me from heaven. This is where God promised to take care of me. He has taken care of me more than I deserve.
God has been good to us, Jacob. I pray that he will take care of our son Joseph and the child who is soon to be born.
Not far from Bethlehem, Rachel's child is born.
It's a boy, Master, but Rachel is dead.
Oh, little Benjamin, you and your brother Joseph are all that remind me of my beloved wife. Jacob buries his beloved wife Rachel, then he and his family continue sadly on their journey, stopping now and then to rest and feed the flocks. Jacob has trembles as he shades his eyes and looks toward the distant city of Hebron. Is that where grandfather Isaac lives? Yes, Joseph, I pray we are not too late. He is very old. God answers Jacob's prayers. At the sight of his old and blind father, Jacob falls to his knees. Father, I am Jacob, your son. Thank God I am with you again.
Jacob, I have prayed for your return. Do you have children now?
Proudly, Jacob presents his 12 sons to their grandfather Isaac. Father, this is Joseph, and this is Benjamin, the sons of my beloved Rachel. Years later, Isaac goes to be with his God, the God of his fathers. Wow, what a story, huh? So, I know that we went over a lot today. If there was a few things that I learned, it was really even just the timeline of some biblical history. So, it was Adam and Eve, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and now Jacob. And we're gonna see what happens next. What was something that you learned this time? That's great. I hope that you learned something today, even if it was just the timeline like I just talked about. And guys, if you did learn something, share it in the comments or talk about it with each other. Call someone on the phone. You know the things to do. But I hope that you're staying safe. And I also hope that you can join us next time as we read more from the Action Bible.